Thanks for staying with us, and consider this bit of math. Our northern border is nearly 3 times the length of our southern border, yet it has just 1/10 of the Border Patrol agents.
The risk on a northern border is that someone can get into Canada. If they get into Canada legally, they can legally come into the United States. They just have to show their passport, and they can say, I'm going to go visit, Vermont or Buffalo or Detroit or Seattle.
That was former Immigration and Customs Secretary John Torres, concerned after the lone wolf attack at the Canadian Parliament. This is video of that attack this week, that officials now, he says, should be looking to protect our northern border. Former CIA senior officer Mike Scheuer joins us now to discuss it. Back when you were at the agency, things were a little different. You were hunting Islamic terrorists, but they were over there in the Middle East. It seems like now there's a lot more people here. Is it a problem?
Well, it was a problem then. It was a problem we ignored because we have a studied inability to understand the power of religion in the modern world. And really, what we should have done after 9/11 was to better control both borders. That was about the main thing we could have done to defend the United States. Now we have a problem in this country, not only because people come across borders, but because people are turning to Islam as a faith. Through conversion. We allow our so-called Saudi and Kuwaiti friends to educate young Muslims in this country in a form of Islam that's far more severe than anything Osama bin Laden ever preached. So the war's coming here. Our failures overseas, our failures to understand the enemy we're up against is going to result in the things that happened in Canada this week.
I want to play a clip from the FBI director. He was on 60 Minutes recently talking about the threat of quote-unquote lone wolves. Take a listen.
These homegrown violent extremists are troubled souls who are seeking meaning in some misguided way, and so they come across the propaganda and they become radicalized on their own, sort of independent study, and they're also able to equip themselves with training, again, through the internet, and then engage in jihad after emerging from their basement.
The name lone wolf offends you?
It does. I'd prefer lone rat to capture the kind of person we're talking about.
In terms of the kind of people we're talking about in this sense, are these people who are young men who are smart and captains of their football teams, or are these losers and loners in their basements on the internet looking for an identity?
There's both. I think more often than not we find these people are fairly well educated. Certainly the Islamist organizations in the Middle East have attracted the best and the brightest in the Muslim world, not the riffraff exclusively. And certainly the FBI director fully encapsulates the disaster we're facing because he can't even use the word Islam. He calls them extreme, violent people. This is a religious war that's being waged against us.
When you talk about a religious war and you look at the way, we were talking to Bob Scales earlier about this, and he said, look, wait a second, this is not a war of technology, this is a war of will, and the United States simply is not stepping up to the battlefield in Syria and in Iraq in the way that really sends the right message. In terms of this framed in this sense, are we missing something here and in some way emboldening not only the terrorists abroad but the terrorists here at home by not taking this fight much harder and stronger into places like Iraq and Syria?
Well, in the sense that in the Muslim world, force is a lingua franca. The United States has behaved like SpongeBob in its military operations. We've lost 2 wars to people that are armed with weapons from the Korean War. But more importantly, we feed it. What motivates these people is not hatred for women in the workplace or beer or X-rated movies or elections. They wouldn't have them in their own country, but they're not going to blow themselves up for it. They hate what we do in their world. And as a result, another incursion into Iraq is just what the doctor ordered for the Islamic States.
So if another invasion into Iraq is what motivates a lot of these folks, and at the same time you need to use enough force to really knock this out, what do you do? How do you stop this, especially here at home?
We had the opportunity to do that in Afghanistan, and we pulled our punch. We don't have an opportunity to do it now. You know, another thing no one will talk about is that there's no mercy in war except speed. You need to find enough of these people to annihilate to convince their compadres that they're not going to win. Right now, we are losing, and we're losing deliberately because we don't have the will to kill.
Well, that is a scary proposition, losing and losing quickly. Mike Scheuer, formerly with the CIA, we appreciate you being here, as grim as the news might be.
Pleasure, sir. Thank you.